Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Augustus Pennyworth.
Are you related to Alfred Pennyworth in any way, shape, or form?
No, I'm related to Augustus from Willy Wonka.
You just share the same first name?
That's right.
Augustus Gloop.
Augustus.
And he's like, yeah, man, that's my cousin right there, Augustus Pennyworth. How are y'all cousins? You don't have the same last name. No, we're cousins. We're related.
Augustus and Augustus, you get it.
Oh, Jesus. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Sorry this episode's coming out a week later. I wasn't feeling too good last week and was having a hard time focusing on today's episode. But I mean, it gave us a chance to, catch up on some movies and TV shows. You finished The Pit last week, right?
Finished The Pit. Oh man, what a great show. I mean, Noah Wiley, John Wells, you can't miss. It's just so good. Highly recommend The Pit on Max. It really is.
Yeah, Ashley's currently watching it. She wasn't really on board with it until I told her what you told me, which is the whole first season is one 15-hour shift. And she was like, okay, I think I might need to watch this. And yeah, she's like,
yeah.
When I got home from work today, she was on episode 6. So
yeah, I was a little late. I started after they had already done 5 episodes, and I watched all 5 in a day. I mean, I couldn't stop. I mean, it was like they always leave me on a cliffhanger every episode, and it's going to pick up right where it leaves off in the next one. I mean, it's so good, so well done. The accuracy in the medical procedures and jargon, and it's almost perfect. I've seen a lot of videos of ER nurses, ER doctors are like, yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I came across a video on my Instagram of I don't know if he's a doctor or a nurse or someone in the medical field, of the episode where the mom keeps Googling stuff and they're like, we need to do a spinal tap to figure out what's wrong with your son. And she's like, oh, put on Google. And Noah's character is like, oh my God, shh, get off your phone. We need to make a decision. And she's like, well, and he like leaves the room, and the person reacting was like, yeah, he's like, sometimes we have to do that when like we understand that it's a serious situation, but we need to make a decision. If it's life or death, like we need to go. And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
the
damn.
show perfectly melds the drama that you want from a show plus, accuracy of the field that they're in, the specific ER medical field. It's a perfect balance. I don't know how they do it. I know they're already getting started on next season, so I'm really excited for that.
Who's the creator's name again?
I don't know if he's the creator, but I know John Wells is a writer and producer on the show for sure. He also wrote ER.
I was gonna say, do you think he took his experiences from ER and was like,
oh, they all did, yeah. And I think I don't know if it's Michael Crichton's estate, but someone is suing someone who owns ER. It must be Michael Crichton's estate. I don't know who it is, but they're suing the creators of The Pit because it's too close to ER. Which I guess is intellectual property because it does belong, I guess, to Michael Crichton in some shape or form, probably, or to somebody. I don't know who.
Yeah.
But, they're being sued at the moment.
Well, that's going to put a damper on season 2 then.
No, they've already started. So I mean, it's
yeah.
But Noah Wiley is a dream. He is so good. I got my mom hooked on it. She watched 10 episodes in a day.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are moments that are absolutely devastating. And yet, again, it doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem like we have to put this in there because we need to add a little bit of drama, or we need to add a little bit of emotion, or we need to add some tear jerking moments. It all seems very organic and very real, which I appreciate.
Okay, I could get that. I mean, Ashley and I watched the newest episode of season 2 of The Last of Us, and as we were just talking about off mic, I've really enjoyed what Neil with Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann have done to adapt Neil's game, but they did add something to this second episode that wasn't in the second game that a lot of critics are saying are unnecessary. Kind of like what you're saying is they needed something, I think, to add tension. I'll tell you off mic once we're done because Zach, I don't know if he's watching season 2.
I don't know
yeah.
if he's watching all
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil it. But there is something I liked. I enjoyed it. But then again, like I said, I've been really into what they've been doing. But that's cool, man. I'll probably finally watch The Pit because Ashley got tired of waiting for me, so she was like, "I'm watching it." I was like, "Well, that's fine. I'll watch it." Well, we need to finish Born Again. But with that being said, Jeremy, before we get into the episode, aren't you going to ask me about my shirt? So I told Ashley that I specifically was going to wear this shirt. Hopefully the people watching can see the logo. It's a shirt I bought at Disney this year. It's what's called a Spirit jersey. So it's a long sleeve shirt. They're super comfortable. They have these kind of like bubbled designs on the front and the back. So my shirt kind of goes in with today's theme of old Hollywood. Today's movie was made in 1944. So this is for the Hollywood Tower Hotel.
Okay.
More commonly known at Disney as the Tower of Terror. But the lore surrounding it is just so cool. And it's my white whale. I have yet to ride it. And I went to the gift shop specifically to get something. Got this. Felt like a fake fan. Because every time I want to ride it, last year it was because the wait was too long. I was like, nope, I'm not waiting for that. This year I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ride it. We had just had food at Woody's Roundup Barbecue, and I was like, I don't feel like throwing up. Because for those of you who don't know, Tower of Terror is one of those that takes you up and then it takes you and drops you. It takes you up and it drops you. But again, the lore is what I like about it. And again, I feel like it kind of fits into today's episode.
Now, I would
just a little bit.
Don't call yourself a fake fan. I mean, how many times have you seen the Steve Guttenberg movie? Personally?
Oh my God, dude. So I forgot about that until Ashley was like, did they make a movie of the Tower of Terror?
It's amazing.
It apparently is not streaming on Disney Plus.
Okay. I've seen it many, many times. Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst is.
I completely forgot about that movie. I want to find it because after Ashley reminded me, I was like, oh my God, I want to watch it now. Because apparently it's the first time a ride at Disney had ever been adapted into a film. But they only used the outside of the ride for exterior shots, and then the rest of it was sound stages. But yeah, again, I was like, it kind of fits with today's episode a little bit, old Hollywood.
Sure.
And again, the lore surrounding the Tower of Terror is so cool. It's technically a Twilight Zone thing. Which I don't know if you knew that.
Nope.
I'll tell you more about it off mic once we're done. But with that being said, so today's episode, if you remember from 2 weeks ago, we are discussing Billy Wilder's adaptation, Double Indemnity. So, Jeremy, I'm assuming you had seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Yes. I was in college. It was an assignment. It was for my crime films class. My degree is useless. But yeah, we were discussing and learning about film noir, and um, and of course Double Indemnity. Once you do a little research about film noir, and um, we'll talk a little bit about it. Even though we have a whole episode on it, go check it out if you want.
Yeah.
Way back in season 1, that was like 6 years ago. So I mean, enjoy. But you'll find that Double Indemnity is considered like this is the template of what film
Mm-hmm.
noir is, and what this, if you want to call it a genre, what these tropes are and how they're used and utilized and all of that. So I remember also not liking it very much. The first,
Really?
yeah. Um, I think I just watched M.
Mm.
Because we had watched those back to back. I remember those were sort of the films we were assigned. Probably M for its more German expressionistic themes and style, and then Double Indemnity for like the meat of it, right? Like this is film. And I
Right.
think I more than likely watched M first, and then I watched Double Indemnity. I go, oh, M is so much better. So watching it now, just on its own, I enjoyed it very much. This time,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it, except for the like 3 minutes that got skipped.
right?
Um, yeah, I was really perturbed. Everything was working
Sure.
fine. And then it gets to the scene which we'll talk about where Keys has pretty much figured everything out and it just starts skipping. And I was like, oh come on, man. Like it's like he's interviewing the guy from Oregon. Like, come on. And it finally fixed itself. And yeah, I was just like, I told Ashley, I was like, well, man, I guess I'm gonna have to replace it with the 4K version. Uh-oh. But with that being said, so everyone, Double Indemnity. Double Indemnity is the story of insurance salesman Walter Neff, who gets embroiled in a scheme by married woman Phyllis Dietrichson, played awesomely by Barbara Stanwyck, who I'm sure we'll talk about later, but she kind of set the standard of what a femme fatale is. But she essentially involves Walter in this scheme to kill her husband so she can claim the insurance money, which of course is a trope that is now so common that we've seen in so many different films. But I feel like this movie, which we'll talk about more, really, again, set the standard for that. Walter, working in the insurance industry, thinks of like, oh, well, I have the perfect plan. That way we can enact the double indemnity clause. That way we can get a higher payout. Because he thinks Phyllis is doing this because she loves him. And her husband, we just know him as Mr. Dietrichson, treats her very poorly, hits her. So Walter kind of thinks he's sort of being a savior in a sense, which is all part of Phyllis's scheme, which we'll get to. They pull off the plan, but Walter's boss, Mr. Keys, played wonderfully by Edward Robinson, who we already did a movie with him, Scarlet Street.
Okay.
Ashley was kind of half paying attention, and when I finally realized that's who it was, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, you need to watch Scarlet Street. Ashley was kind of half paying attention to the film, and I think I might have a hook in her to see another black and white film. I think I might get her to watch Scarlet Street, because I think she'd really like Scarlet Street.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Keys is now investigating the case because Keys just has a natural knack for sniffing out phony claims, and the heat is on Walter, and he's also getting really close with Lola Diedrichson, Phyllis's stepdaughter, and learning more about Phyllis, and kind of seeing that they're all puppets to Phyllis, and ultimately Walter decides that he's no longer going to be a puppet. I'm yada yada throwing a lot of stuff, but he sees through Phyllis's plan. She shoots him. He ends up killing her, and he confesses all of this to Keyes, and we assume he goes to prison, and that's double indemnity. Yeah, man, I having us do that director's series a couple seasons ago, and getting to see more, especially Fritz Lang's noir films like Fury. Holy Jesus! I really have this appreciation for noir films, and I was so in right from the jump.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this trope of our narrator confessing all of this, and we're seeing what he's confessing, has been used before. I can't. The only modern example I can think of, you may be mad at me, you may not be, is the comedy series Spoils of Babylon,
Mhm.
where Tobey Maguire does that, where he is confessing his story, and then the whole show is what he's confessing, but yeah, I was in it as soon as Neff is confessing all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to convey a sense of dread and foreboding, right? It's the same reason why I think Irreversible works in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other example? We just did one that did the exact same thing. But anyway, um, oh, um, the Assassination of Jizz by the Coward Robert Ford. It was the one we just did. It gives a sense of dread and foreboding, right? We already know what's going on. We already know what's going to happen. And so we're watching these characters basically just live on borrowed time. And that's what we're doing here with Walter Neff. And I really appreciated they showed him using more than one cylinder, by the way. He's recording his confession on wax cylinders. Which in 1938, that's all you had, really. I appreciated that they showed he's using multiple ones. Hopefully, he's labeling them.
Oh shit! Which one was it?
Exactly. It's like, man, if you get those out of order, it's a whole.
Yeah, Keyes listens to him out of order, and he's like,
"You make heads or tails."
What?
He accidentally makes a Tarantino narrative. He's not listening to them in order.
Yeah.
So here's why I think that this movie works so well in the film noir genre. Okay, if you want to call it a genre, some people don't consider it to be a true genre. It's just a crime adventure, a dark crime thriller. So we have to understand where film noir comes from, which is, of course, the coming out of the Great Depression and then going straight into World War II. We have these anxieties and these fears in the public consciousness. We have men going off to war. We have women stepping up into the workforce, having jobs, not staying home all day, really changing the dynamic of the household, which is where we get femme fatales, by the way. Femme fatales are meant to be a representation of the change in household dynamics between the men and the women. When the men came home from war, women were, more confident, had a sense of purpose, had a sense of empowerment because they were going and working. They had something to do. They were given a purpose, right? And it changes the dynamic of the household. Women are no longer docile and subservient. They are now, more in charge and more confident, and in some cases, have more authority,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel is represented perfectly in the shot where Neff meets Phyllis at the house. She is hovering over him. She is literally towering over him,
Yeah.
on the balcony. So that's where this and why the femme fatale became such a popular trope in these movies. Um, Also, I love the sense of place. We talked about this before, especially in Sunset Boulevard, where you are is really important, um, and where the film is taking place is important. So, it that comes from Italian neorealism, where Italian films from the 30s were shooting on location. They were in real places. It gave a sense of grounded reality because we weren't on these sets anymore. We weren't, having this artificiality. We were in the space, which is
Mm-hmm.
where film noir gets that sense of reality, is actually being in Los Angeles or being in New York, or being on the streets in these places. Yes, there are sets. Yes, there are sound stages. But when you're outside, and you're in these
Right.
places for real. And of course, the lighting is German expressionism with the stark shadows and the low lighting, and the high contrast light, especially coming through windows and Venetian blinds.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I was fully
I
paying
know.
attention to you, but my wife just snuck in to grab the Kleenex that we're sitting right here. So I'm sure when this video goes up on YouTube, people will see the shadow kind of right over here disappear.
That's okay.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that's another thing that I've really enjoyed. One about, of course, doing the show is learning more about these black and white films, especially these noir films. Um, the use of location is unreal. I
Yep.
mean, yeah, it's so. I think that's something that we as modern. I say we. We're not making movies. I would love to make a movie. Um, I think modern filmmakers are kind of taking for granted of shooting on location,
Mhm.
um, because it just seems like, especially during this time, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll shoot on Sunset Boulevard, not a big deal, all Gucci. There's 3 film crews down the way doing the same thing, and it makes the story that we're seeing feel very lived in, you know,
Sure.
um, especially getting to see Walter in his apartment and just driving around Los Angeles. And now, of course, I know certain shots are sets, like when he and Lola are at the behind the Hollywood Bowl. That's clearly just a backdrop
Yeah.
that they have, but it still feels tangible, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I really like that. I'm learning that I really like it when things feel real, especially for a story taking place, of course, in 1939.
And Billy Wilder also, he used the set, or he built the set of the insurance office to look like, I forget, it's either the Paramount offices or it's the Universal offices. I forgot which one.
That's really funny. I mean the movie was produced by Paramount, even though the Criterion opens with a Universal logo, which is weird.
It's all about distribution and all that stuff. But yeah, I forgot which studio offices he chose. But again, you could really tell the German expressionistic influence just in the office,
Mm-hmm.
like with all the desks and the typewriters, and especially in the beginning when he's going to his office, or Keyes' office, his shadow is just so prominent, pronounced, um, sort of looming over him on the wall. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, one more thing I want to add before we kind of jump into the story, because the story is fantastic and so engaging. While I was watching it, I told Ashley, I was like, "Look, the '40s, not a great time in our country's history. You know, there's a lot of very awful things, but I do really like how they speak. Um, the choice of words is just so cool. Like, um, when Neff like gets back to the office, um, after first meeting Phyllis, and the secretary's like, "Oh, Keys is looking for you." He hands her his briefcase and tells her to, just put it in his office for him. But I love that he goes, "Yeah, park this for me, will you?" And then like it just, I don't know, it's so cool. And then even Ashley, uh, one of the parts where she was paying attention to when Phyllis was essentially first laying out her scheme to him, Phyllis essentially says like, "You see what I'm saying, right?" And Neff goes, "Yeah, I have eyes." It just, I don't know. I guess I've never really noticed it until this movie. I was like, how they spoke in the '40s is just so good.
Well,
I don't know.
it's obviously it's not how normal people spoke. This is for the movie, right? So it's very sharp
No,
and
I know.
dialogue. They're all kind of with that transatlantic accent, uh, except for Edward G. Robinson,
Yeah.
who was just being Edward G. Robinson. Uh, but yeah, no, I agree. I really like the rhythm and the choice of words. Um, it's just punchy. I don't know. I like it. It's fast and it's sharp.
Well, and shout out to last season. I think that's why I loved Brick so much,
Oh yeah,
is getting to hear this that use of language in a modern setting.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know.
yeah, those who loved Brick. I mean, you're looking at its influence right here.
Yeah. So okay. So the story. So like I said, this trope of killing the husband to claim the insurance money. I would be safe in assuming that this is the movie that kind of set this sort of trope, or was there a movie before this?
I mean, I don't know specifically about insurance scams or murder being involved, but I do know that film noir introduced a more complicated storyline. Not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
that it's hard to follow, just that the plan has more steps, or the crime is more complicated than we're going to go rob that bank.
Right.
We're going to commit insurance fraud, which is complicated, and you do have to know how that's going to work. And I think they do a good job in explaining, like, here's how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to have to do. This is what I'm going to have to do. Here's your part. Here's mine. Blah blah blah. All that. And if I'm being honest, not a terrible plan. Okay?
It's really not. I mean, it ties into our episode. It is, as Key says, it's an almost perfect plan.
Yeah.
I would say their only flaw, the fact that, and I think it's interesting that Keys is the only one to pick up on this. How can a man die from falling off of a train moving 15 miles an hour?
Right.
You know, um, but other than that, yeah, I mean, the plan is damn near perfect.
Yeah, I think to me, their only downfall was also patience. I mean, don't do it as soon as you make you change the insurance plan. Don't do it the next day. Relax. Take your time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the film does such a great job of explaining why Phyllis is so impatient.
For sure.
Which is she doesn't, want him to potentially look over these new changes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the film did a pretty good job of explaining that Dietrichson doesn't seem to care about any of this shit.
No.
So I think you're right. I think had they waited a little bit longer, they probably could have pulled it off a little bit better.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, and I like how Walter Neff is seen he's not an evil mastermind. He's the exact opposite. He's a puppet, right? He is easily manipulated and coerced and molded into being a criminal. Like it's it's Phyllis that's the evil mastermind. She's the one that's using her charm and using Neff's lust against him, and taking advantage. Um, and poor guy. I mean,
I know.
he's not off the hook. He's a bad guy, but
Yeah.
he's not this. You do feel bad for him, and I think the movie does a good job of saying that he is really just this normal insurance agent until he meets Phyllis, and then Phyllis
Yeah.
sort of, corrupts and manipulates and changes him for her benefit. Um, Again, very reminiscent of the anxieties and fears of the time, of these new empowered women that
Yeah.
everyone's so afraid of.
Yeah. But yeah, like the whole time watching the film, I didn't feel like Neff was, yeah, I didn't feel like he was like an evil genius or like, haha, yes. you know, I, I do, I did see him as more as in his mind, oh, I'm being a white knight here.
Right.
I'm helping this woman who is, cooped up in this house, whose husband abuses her. Like I'm helping her, and I'm gonna get a little bit out of this too. I mean, so there's definitely, yes, like you said, lust and definitely some greed, but yeah, Phyllis is truly the mastermind. And what I love so much, and I made a point of it telling Ashley, is I love that her name is Phyllis.
Yeah.
Because, again, to use a modern context, we wouldn't think Phyllis, someone named Phyllis, would be like this evil genius.
Sure.
And I'm not supposed to say if there are any Phyllises out there listening, you're probably very wonderful. I'm just saying in context of
doing evil things, but
exactly, yeah, yes. I'm just saying in context of this movie from 1944, a woman named Phyllis, you know.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But no. But I do kind of like that Walter, she really kind of makes Walter feel like it was his idea, for a good minute. But I mean, that's what a great master manipulator does. Like you're like, yeah, I have a great idea here.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I'm sure you do. Wink.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of like the possible stuff you may have missed in that 3 minutes, because like you're right, they do speak to the man from Oregon, and who sees Neff on the train. And did you miss just all of that?
Yeah. So I saw Keyes again, pretty much solve it. That he was killed beforehand, and then right as he's explaining, so you kill him beforehand, and then it cuts, and then that man sitting outside my office is the last person to see Neff alive. He brings him in, and he's like, yeah, I'm from something Oregon.
Okay.
And then he goes, he's like, and this man is not, and then it cuts some more.
Oh no.
And then it like didn't pick back up until Phyllis and Neff were meeting at the grocery store, and Neff is like, yeah, I can't be seen with you for a while. He's getting too close.
So really, yeah, Keyes does sort of nail it. He's just, he knows something's off. He assumes he was killed somewhere else and then left there and all that. So he pretty much nails it. And then when that guy comes in, I forgot his name, but when
Jackson,
when he comes in, he, you kind of think for a minute that Neff did a pretty good job, and he's gonna be like, yep, that's absolutely her husband. But no, he was like, no, that guy's way older than the guy I met. The guy I met was much younger. He's much taller. But he doesn't recognize Neff, obviously, because they didn't, But he feels like he knows Neff. He goes, "Did you go to school here? Did you, do this there? Are you from here? Blah blah blah, all that." And they just can't figure it out, and then he leaves. Um,
Okay.
so
So yeah, I didn't miss much.
there's a sense of tension there that you missed of him, knowing for a fact that wasn't, Mr. Diedrichsen, and saying it was somebody else, and blah blah blah. There's that sense of tension you miss, but that's about it. And Keyes pretty much nail it. Pretty much
Yeah.
like the whole thing, right? He missed like one or two details. That's it.
Yeah, I will say that it is really impressive that Keyes just nails it almost immediately.
Yeah.
Um, but I love this idea of the only reason why he doesn't suspect Neff is because they've known each other for 11 years and
Right.
have had great years of, friendship. But I like that we get to see Neff be like, during his narration of, I'm pretty sure you had figured it out and you were just toying with me,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so I like that we got to see kind of Neff's anxieties of, well, yeah, he knows. He
Yeah.
knows, and he's just wanting to see if maybe I'll come clean or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, truly, Keyes did not suspect Neff at all.
Which is
And
part of
also,
the
man,
drama, I think, because it's a friend betraying another. He's
yeah,
betraying his friend, and he's playing him for a fool. And even though it's not necessarily intentional, I mean, he still is, and he's still. You still feel bad for Keyes, most definitely. I mean, you feel bad for him, and I feel bad for the stepdaughter, and 'cause
uh,
those are the true victims of all this.
yeah. And would you say, um, oh my gosh, Neff, Neff getting closer with Lola is kind of what tugs on his conscience a little bit to be like, you know what, I don't think this isn't right. What we did is not right.
Yeah, because he's getting a full picture of who Phyllis is, because he has this idea of who she is. It's mainly
Mhm.
just his lust, right? But he has an idea of who she is and his sort of, dream scenario. But then once he, gets to know a little bit more about her, he realizes that she's just a snake and that she really is a manipulative um, control. You know, I'm trying to think of the word. Can't gonna abandon, but uh, that she just manipulates people. That's what she does,
Mhm.
and so that's when he's like, you know what? Nope, we got to shut it down. If we just play it cool, we don't collect the money. You do not sue them. We're in the clear.
Yeah.
You just don't collect any money. We're done. And obviously it doesn't go very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, I love this idea. And of course, this is also something we've seen, post to this movie where one party is like, no, like I'm not going out without anything, like she says, like, well, I'll have to sue them. They're going to deny my claim. And he's like, yeah, but if you sue them, like everything's going to come out. Everything about what you did to Lola's mom is going to come out, and I think at that point, um, I wouldn't say Neff was sort of being like being selfish, being like, if you sue them, this is all going to come out, and like, then I'm under fire now, But I definitely think he was definitely kind of looking out for himself at that point. Again, not to say he was being fully selfish, but I think he wanted to come out of this unscathed
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, but
Too late.
yeah, well, and also I think either way, someone was going to get hurt, and I think his conscience would have eaten up at him. I think he's right when he confronts Phyllis at the end of the film that I think she would have manipulated. Um, is it Nico? Lola's boyfriend, Nino.
Nino.
Nino. I think she would have manipulated Nino to the point of killing Neff for her. So I think even if, you know, Neff had essentially gotten away with it, he wouldn't have gotten away with it in a sense. Um, Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that was his plan all along, was to kill Phyllis? Or do you think he was trying to, when he goes over towards the end of the film, do you think that was him, his plan was to strong arm her into letting this all go?
I don't know. That's a good question because you kind of want to say yes because he's the one who kills Diedrichson anyway.
Yeah.
But another part of me is like, no, I don't think so because he does care for her. I mean, he's fully, he's fully been manipulated, but in under her control. But um, it's a good question because, like I said, like he murdered Mr. Diedrichson, so he obviously has that in him to murder. So um, I don't know. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that he was probably going over there to talk some sense into her, and so they could run away together. I mean, he's in love with her. He wants to run away. He wants to forget all this. He wants her to come with him, and let's just let this go. We didn't get this one, but that's okay.
I yeah, I like that too. I think he was really, it was very much a um I can change you.
Yeah,
Daddy, I can change him. Um I think he realized he was going to have to kill her. Obviously, she shot first, you know. Um, and I think he realized in that moment, kind of like what he tells her, is that it would be like an endless cycle of her using people to eliminate the other person.
right.
So I think after she shot him, I think he realized the only way to end this is to end this here now.
Yeah,
Because if I walk out of here, she's probably going to convince someone to come kill me. So I think it was I have no other choice. I have to kill her.
yeah. No, I agree. And with that scene, especially talking about the technical side of it, I would say that yes, this is a very pivotal moment. This is the climax of the movie.
Hmm.
It's also shot the best, I think.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
lighting is perfect. It is so dark where it needs to be, and it is so bright where it needs to be. Um, that it's perfect. Probably why it's the cover of the Criterion collection. But
I was just about to say that. Hopefully, Future Rain let that kind of slide across the screen a little bit. Yeah, it truly is perfect. I was really hoping when I popped it in last night, I was like, man, I really hope this shot is in the movie,
yeah,
and it did not disappoint,
yeah,
dude. I'm gonna be real. I would have screamed if it skipped during that part. Um,
for sure.
Dude, like Ashley could tell you, I was already getting really frustrated. Like I was huffing a lot because she's like sitting right here where I'm at on her computer, like playing her game. And I'm next to her, and I'm like huffing during the whole skipping. I'm just like getting up, taking the disc out, cleaning it, putting it back in. Like it
Yeah,
just, so had it skipped during this climax. Oh my god! Thank God it didn't.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and especially I love the lighting when she does the whole like I never loved you until 1 minute ago when I couldn't take that second shot. Like the lighting is so perfect.
yeah,
It almost kind of cast Phyllis as sort of this, I guess, angelic figure. But I guess it would make sense considering he shoots her twice right then and there.
yeah,
So kind of like a glow, like a death glow, I guess. Like she's gonna die, you know. And I really like that he doesn't know what happened to her.
yeah.
He just left her there.
Right.
Um, I I find that really interesting and kind of really morbid that he doesn't know
Yeah.
that. But I really like that. That we as an audience have no resolution, so why would he?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right.
you know,
Because I mean, he's not there to know what happened, and the movie ends before he is inevitably arrested.
yeah.
Um, so,
Um, so, um, I want to talk about the actual ending of the film of Keys, of course, probably hearing, I would say, 80% of this.
why do you think it's 80? I was gonna say
Okay,
30%.
you know what? It's funny. I was thinking 30,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh. So yeah, so hearing the tail end of this confession of essentially, Keys probably just heard the part about him killing her. Um, but I'm sure Keys could fill in the blank of like, oh, he was the other guy.
yeah.
Um, but I love this. I love that Neff still thinks he can get away with it. Like, Keys, just give me a head start.
Yeah.
I can make it to the border. And Keys, knowing how much blood he's probably lost, is like, you're not gonna make it to the border. Like, you're just not.
I can make it to the
Plain and
end.
simple. Yeah. Um, and I love how it's sort of like a challenge. Like, yeah, you won't even make it to the elevator. And it's sort of like, and Neff is sort of like, okay, well, watch this. And he obviously doesn't.
And
And I love the language of his whole like, who knew the elevator was a couple miles away. Love that.
it's
But
good. Yeah,
I find the ending really somber because, like you said, he is sort of betraying this 11-year friendship that he's had with Keys, and you know, and Keys is obviously very hurt that someone he considered a best friend uh, was even capable of doing this.
yeah.
Um, and it felt like a kind of a salt in the wound kind of thing of Neff doing his whole "I love you too,"
Yeah.
or maybe that was just me.
No, yeah. I mean, again, I feel really bad for Keys because
Yeah.
he's trusted Neff, and he would never accuse Neff, you know, of
Hmm.
of this because he couldn't even fathom, Yeah, he was there with Phyllis, and yeah, he was their insurance agent, but that doesn't mean anything. And normally it wouldn't, you know.
Yeah.
There's no reason to think that Neff would do anything like this. So um, yeah, I feel bad for Keys, and I think that's why the message is to Keys in the first place. Neff knows that he's betrayed this friendship and this partnership, and that he needs to tell someone, and it's got to be Keys because he does feel so guilty about the deception.
And it makes me wonder because Edward G. Robinson did Scarlet Street a couple years after this. It makes me wonder if Fritz Lang saw this and was like, "That's the guy I need for my artist."
Well, I mean, Edward G. Robinson, he's a huge star at this
Yeah.
point. I think it was either Little Caesar. I think that was in the 30s. I mean, he was a huge deal in the gangster movie scene in the 1930s, and then transitioned into the noir scene in the 40s. Yeah, Edward G. Robinson's a household name. The fact that he's in this is cool.
Yeah. I did kind of ruin Scarlet Street for Ashley.
Whoops.
I was like, oh my God, man. I was like, man, Scarlet Street is so good. I was like, yeah, it's got a real fucked up ending, but it's so good. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, he hangs himself. And she was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, but like, it's kind of justified in why he does it. I mean, like you'll need to see it. And she was like, I don't know if I want to. I'm like, no, it's really good.
Spoilers.
It's spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for an over 60-year-old film. But yeah, man. Can I say the first time Neff does that sort of little like snarky I love you too to Keys, I audibly laughed out loud. Because it just felt like a very 1930s thing to do, where Keys is pretty much saying that without saying it. But and then Neff is like, love you too. Just like, ah. It felt like very much you and I.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I tell you all the time, text me when you get home, and you don't do that.
Home right now.
Well, with that being said, buddy, are you ready to wrap up?
Immensely enjoyed this second time. Way more than the first time. But, for obvious reasons. Billy Wilder, can't recommend him enough. If you've seen Some Like It Hot, The Apartment, Sunset Boulevard, Billy Wilder
That's right.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's who you need to be,
Yeah, man. I'm really glad we got to do it. I don't remember how this ended up on my wish list. I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I own it. I'm gonna have to probably upgrade it for the 4K. But I know. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. And again, I'm really glad we're doing more of these noir films. I mean, this was my pick, so
right.
I think I might switch up a couple of my other picks. I don't know, man. Do I have any other noir films on my list? Not really. Got some silent films.
Wow.
But
that's right.
Anyway, well, buddy, what are we talking about next week?
Okay. So
I already know because you've already told me.
I know you know. Zach is so excited because I texted him about it last week because I felt bad we weren't doing episodes. I go, well, here's a sneak peek of what. The next week we are discussing the 2010 Denis Villeneuve adaptation of Incendies, or Incendies, if you want to read it verbatim in an English accent. It means fires or flames in French.
Oh.
It is a mystery drama. I'll tell you that, just bare bones. This brother and sister, they're twins. Their mother is very ill. She is dying. She has requested that they go find their father and their brother, neither of which they knew existed, and go give them these letters. That's it.
Okay.
And she's from the Middle East. I'm trying to remember where exactly she's from. I have it in front of me. I should know. I don't know. The language is Arabic, so that could literally be anywhere. It says Jordan is where it was filmed, so maybe that's where.
Okay.
It takes place. But yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you. That's all you need to know. I will tell you that the visuals are breathtaking. The story is tragic and engaging, and it's going to leave you absolutely speechless. That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, if we haven't sung Denis' praises enough, with Sicario or Blade Runner 2049, we haven't officially done Dune or Dune Part 2 yet. I know for sure. Oh, Prisoners. Forgot about Prisoners.
Yeah.
I know we haven't done Enemy. I really want to talk about Enemy, even though I haven't seen it.
It's great.
But I promised myself I would do Criterions this season.
Right.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. I love Denis so much. I think his visual language is so refreshing. And I love that he doesn't pigeonhole himself. He's done science fiction. He's done, thrillers. He's done mysteries.
Yeah.
I love that he pushes himself in this medium, and I'm really excited to see, one of his foreign language films before he started making English speaking films. So this really excites me.
Yeah.
You know, I am a little intimidated that you said don't look anything up.
Please.
And I'm fighting the urge.
Yeah, please don't.
To look stuff up. I did look up where I can watch it. I'm gonna have to rinse it, unfortunately. Unless, oh no, that's right. I said I found a copy on Amazon that I could physically own.
You're gonna want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is, again, it's one of those movies where I saw it maybe a year ago.
Uh-huh.
I think about it maybe once a month.
I was gonna say, like, every other week.
Yeah, like, I think about it every now and then, because it really, I've never seen anything like it. And you'll understand when you say it, but it truly is great. So I'm excited.
Nice. Alrighty, buddy. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode on Double Indemnity. Sorry it took 2 weeks, and we promise next week will not. It will come out next week, and we will see you then for Incendies.